post office removed from Sturgill. Post office was moved from Brandon. That's between Sturgill and Lansing.
Brandon. Now, where between?
Now,
Where was Brandon?
well, you remember just coming this way after you passed that road that turns to the left to go to Tuckerdale.
Mm-hmm.
It's right up there at that second house on the left there. Just up from that highway road that goes to Tuckerdale.
Mm-hmm. Wonder how that got its name,
And,
Brandon. Do you know how it got its name of
No, I
Brandon?
don't. No, I don't.
And it's post office there, and one at Lansing, one at Hilton, Sturgill's.
Yeah, there's all the post office we have now. It's across the creek from Lansing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. That's you're right.
And,
Well, we were talking about we'll go back to the churches a little bit, and I want to ask you: were you a farmer along with being a minister?
yes,
Was your
I farmed, worked at carpenter work.
preached on Sundays and
Yeah.
Wednesday nights,
Well,
revivals?
I pastored for about 27 years. Pastored a church here that I was in the organization of almost 7 years. Pleasant Branch Church, the Lone Branch, I was there and it had gone down. They hadn't had a pastor there in 5 or 6 years. We went there and had a prayer meeting. The people come in there and filled the building to overflow. We called for revival. Had revival and baptized several candidates there and restored the work of the church, built a new church building. And I pastored there 5 years. I pastored a church in Virginia, Troutdale, Virginia, for the Baptist Church, Troutdale, Virginia, 2 years. And then my first pastorage was 51 to 56 with the Mountain Union people. The Baptist Chapel was out independent. And I pastored it 5 years.
The Mountain Union.
Yeah, and that was about, well, enjoyed that as much as any pastorage I had with those people.
Oh, now where was it?
It's on Hilton, just about 2 miles and a half down here.
Now, why was it called a Mountain Union? Do you know why it was called a Mountain Union?
Well, it was Mountain Union Baptist. This church here, what we call now the Mountain Union Baptist Church, it was first a missionary Baptist church. Baptist Chapel, Young's Chapel at North of Wilson, one at Todd, was the 3 first churches ever organized west of the Blue Ridge. Baptist Chapel, there's some trouble come between Baptist Chapel and Young's Chapel, and they went to the Mountain Unions. And that's how come that to be.
Mountain Union.
But there was one, Baptist Chapel was one of the 3 first churches organized this side of the Blue Ridge.
Well, I think maybe we covered. Is there anything else that that I've overlooked in asking you?
No, I think that pretty well covers what's transpired since I remember. As poorly as I've given.
Well, no, you've done well. Let's see, you said you were a farmer and a carpenter and a minister. But you just about had to have a job, so you were on call to go for funerals and what have you. It's kind of hard to work at a job.
Yeah.
And
yes, I carried on my farm work, carpenter work, ministry, and to quite a few people in the Baptist hospital, able to minister a little bit to the physical needs.
Yes, that's one part of the ministry, I guess, that has been a great help too. You all were ambulances long before we had our ambulance, wasn't it? You'd take them to the hospital when they were sick.
The first ambulance, the first undertaker funeral service in this community was rendered on what we call a Shifted Branch to the Thomas family. First funeral ever conducted in this community by undertakers, badgers. I wish I could tell you the day, but I'm not able to give you the dates on that. But it was back in the late 20s or right in the early 30s. That was the first undertaker service in this community. It's Joe Thomas.
Well,
He's Joe Thomas's boy. He was killed.
Mm-hmm.
They was building a road from the highway, Greenwood, across through by their home, come out here on top of Kirby Hill here from Spencer's Branch. And the old man Thomas was about the wealthiest man we had in this community, and he had a tractor. And this boy was using a tractor on the road and plowing and helped to make the grade. And he backed up to turn and right at the edge of a steep bluff. And the old tractors didn't have no brake on them. And when he changed gears, it got out of control and went back over that bluff.
That was a sad time, I'm sure. Well,
yeah.
When you had funerals before the Badgers come on the scene, or before the funeral directors come on the scene, what was it your all's responsibility to sort of?
Yes. The family and the community carried forth the funeral service. Our caskets were all principally homemade. Men made them. And they had the casket, the box made by people that made caskets. And then the home and the neighbors prepared the body and ready for the funeral. The people buried him.
Well, I know it was a kind thing to help out and all like that, but it also must have been a very difficult thing.
Well, people what do you suppose it costs to put a person away, principally at that time?
I have no idea.
We had an old man that run a blacksmith shop here near Grassy Creek at Sussex, Virginia.
Sussex?
Yes, he made caskets. He made the finest, nicest homemade caskets anybody's ever did that kind of work in this country. And he built my mother's casket box. What did you reckon it cost my daddy?
I don't know.
$15.
$15?
That's what it cost him. That's what it cost him to bury my mother. And they ever said it was made, the casket was built out of yellow poplar. They said that was the prettiest thing you ever seen.
Mm. What would that be comparable to now?
I don't know.
Hundreds of dollars, wouldn't it? Well, you know, so many times, you know, at funerals now when the families, it's a very upsetting thing for them, And of course the funeral directors take care of all that now, but you preachers had to, and the neighbors had to help the grieved and bereaved.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, that's right. They was dressed, prepared for funeral in the home.
Yeah.
When the person passed away, they were always prepared and covered with a sheet or something. They was laid out. After they got undressed and laid down, dressed, laid like that until the casket was brought and that's put in the casket. People did that.
That brought death real close to
Oh
home.
my goodness sakes, yeah. Much easier on the family now when they come and pick up the dead and carry them away to the undertaker's office and prepare everything there ready for the viewing. Viewed there and then left in the undertaker's home for viewing and taken on to the church. It's much easier on the family. When they used to bury in the old style, the family followed last to view, take the last look. That was the hardest point of any time during the death and of the person. It was the last scene at the casket. Well, the family sees them now, and that was just especially desire of the family. Well, they don't see the corpse anymore. Some wants to still have a last look. We've had some changes. It's not been for the best. We've had some changes that has been wonderful. And I think that's one thing in the death of people that has been a great change in the way of taking care of the person after death.
Not everyone is gifted enough to be able to work with a
But you know,
dead, aren't they?
Sister, amid all the change and all this great turn to wickedness, yet to the Christian person, it's a wonderful time for them, in a sense, or it ever has been to live. There's more opportunity in every way to us in every way that ever has been. Greater responsibility on us too. But while we have responsibility of being in this world in the midst of wickedness, we have great opportunity to work for good, ain't it? There's something to be done, ain't there?
Oh yes. Yeah. I guess there's a quite a bit to keep your head up and feel good about.
Oh yes. There's still something to rejoice and praise God for, ain't there?
Oh yeah. Well, so you look back and you must feel good about your life as well as your services to mankind. And let me ask about, we're talking about the funerals and how difficult, when an older person has lived their days, and maybe you're back in those days when you had some live to be aged, maybe up in the 90s or whatever. You're kind of expecting that to happen for them to go on. But when, in your services, when you have a sudden death, a tragedy, that must have been a very difficult thing to deal with. As I said, we were so close to the family's life.
So now that brought us down to one other happening in this community we hadn't brought in when we're talking about our community and the happenings of the community. We've only had one in this community, one tragedy that happened, and that was about 1913. The first house on the left, after you turn down this way, the man that lived there, he worked at Fairview, not Fairview, but Fairwood, at the band mill. And he was coming in home one night from the band mill. He'd taken his wagon, he got him, had a steer wagon. He'd taken his wagon, got him a load of lumber to mill to bring back to use. And just before he got home, he passed the last neighbor's house. The neighbor heard him holler, but didn't go to see what was wrong. But he, just after he passed this neighbor's house, I don't know where he fell off, and the old wagons used to have a brick stick with a little pulley at the top of the stick and a little rope to pull on the press, you know. And that rope had got round around his foot where it happened accidentally there now. Fell off in the wagon and drove behind it. About as far as from here to the church out there. And there he come loose. Next morning he was laying there in the front of the house, the neighbor's house, in the road. That was the only tragedy that's ever happened in this community. But now that was really a distressing time.
Oh, I can't. How old was he?
I don't know what age he must have been. I imagine that he was in his late 40s or 50s, somewhere, maybe in 50. Him and my daddy was about the same age. I was just a boy in school. That little helpment happened.
And that wagon had drug him over the rough road.
It was in March, I think, and he had on a big overcoat, and that all drug back up on his head, and it had rained, and the road was kind of muddy, and where it had drug in, well, there's a bigger trail than a log would have made him drug to where he was at. And he had to lay there, sister, till they found him early that morning, and he had to lay there, I guess, 8, 9 o'clock before the coroner could get there to take him out. Laid there all day. I was just a lad of a boy, about 14 years, 13, 14 years old.
That was about all you wanted to see,
that
wasn't
was
it?
kind of distressing.
Oh, I should think so. Well, that was a terrible thing.
Yeah.
Something like that can
But
really...
it's never a day now of what we hear about some tragedy somewhere. But back coming up then, sister, we didn't have as much disturbance.
We didn't have the communications, I guess, we do now. We get instant tragedy on television.
It didn't happen in our midst. We had no way of hearing about where it did happen much.
No, you could have a little bit more peace. Well, now, that must have been a terrible job for the neighbors and the family to have to deal with, to get, him patched up for...
Oh, yeah. You see, then they had to... I know the coroner, he had to have to hold an inquest over him or something, and everything. And then he had to be taken care of there in the home after that. Yep. That family had something to undergo, didn't they?
Yeah, they sure did.
Yeah.
Enough to unglue someone, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
it
right.
really is.
Yeah.
Death's just as sad, but it's a different way of handling it.
Oh, yeah.
Very sad time. Well,
Well, we have some wonderful experience as a Christian. and walking with Christ. But we have enough suffering, persecution to make heaven worthwhile. That's what's going to make heaven. The more we've had to go through it here, and the more we've had to suffer here, I believe gives us a deeper experience with God, with Christ, as to His grace. His personal dealing with us, and extending mercy and deliverance and bringing us through these things. If we didn't have these things, we wouldn't have that experience with Him. We wouldn't have, we couldn't know as much the fullness of God's grace and God's love and God's mercy if we didn't have to go through these things and Him bring us through and deliver us, bring us out.
Well,
And I believe, sister, I don't know what I'm talking about,
oh no, go right ahead. That's
but
fine.
people that's never been sick and never suffered much and never had much trouble in this life, I don't believe that they, while they don't have this to go through with, I don't believe they ever get the deep experience of the grace of God and the mercy of God and the fatherly care of God, as we are people that has to go through that moment. We had a man lived just across over in this Long Branch community, my first cousin by marriage. He was struck with crippling arthritis about 25 years ago. And it crippled him to about the last 15 years of his life. He just had to sit for the same. And the last 10 years of his life, I'd say he was just as helpless as the infant. Where you laid him, he laid. He couldn't feed himself, and you fed him. But his mind was strong and clear. You go there and talk to that man, you'd think you want to go there to try to encourage him. But you go there and talk to that man, and I'm telling you, come away. But you get inspiration. You come away with your faith strengthened. I know the Methodist preacher, when the Methodist preachers come on this circuit, and they told him about this fellow. And first time they went to see him, he said he studied what could he say or what could he do to try to encourage this man and help him to inspire him some way. He said when he went there, and he said when I come away, he said I was one that got the inspiration. I was the one that was inspired and lifted. You could go there and talk to him any time, and you never seem to be the most, well, if you didn't see him, he's talking to you, and you didn't see him, you wouldn't know he was a trouble man, sick man. He never talked about his trouble. He never complained about how I was suffering or how bad things are going. He never talked about that unless you mentioned it. But I was there one day, and I don't know how we got to the point, but anyhow, he said to me, he said, Lee, he said, if it took what has happened to me to bring me to where I ought to be and where I am today spiritually, and if it takes that to keep me where I should be, he said, I wouldn't have it no other way.
Exactly.
Now, ain't that wonderful? That's grace, ain't it?
Yes, he had dealt with it well, hadn't he?
My dad's youngest sister, she was bedfast 38 years besides 2.
38.
In the last 2 years of her life, she got back on her feet in her chair. And she was the same way. You could go there and talk to her, and she was never down. She was never talking pessimistic or discouraged or talk about her trouble. She was an inspiration to talk to.
Well, that's
Them people have gone further into knowing the love, the mercy, the grace, the care of God, and we can have because we haven't been in that need that they've been in.
they know, don't they? They know the meaning of suffering, and they know the meaning of care, and I guess it's the real to them. Yeah, you're right.
Salvation, the grace of God's worthwhile.
Well, that's interesting.
No wonder men died, burned over stove fires, and flayed to death, crucified head down.
Yeah.
Had something to die for, didn't they?
Yeah.
I can't understand, sister, why people can live so unconcerned and going right on, facing death, judgment, right on into hell, never even seemed to be a bit disturbed, more than if there wasn't no death, no judgment, nothing to be faced.
Well, I doubt if there's anyone in our mountain region that doesn't know about the scriptures. Do you think there's anyone really that doesn't?
But here's
that hasn't had an opportunity to hear.
I've tried to study life, what it means to live, weigh it in every way possible. And I said if you could ever get the individual to see what it meant to them to be alive, ever get them to see, realize what it means to live, and to see and realize after they've lived their life what the results of it is, I believe you could get them to do something. If you could ever get them to stop and think what it means to live and what life means. But they don't give it no thought. Just enjoying the things of the flesh, the present time. Trying just to get more joy. To fulfill the desire of the flesh.
Well, I want to congratulate you. You ministers, you've been busy fellows and helped make this country up.
Sister, I've never been able to do much. What I've done maybe hasn't amounted to much. But it's meant more to me than anything. God did that for me that I'd rather he would have done than anything else he could have done. I'd rather he'd have called me as he did into the ministry. Set me apart to do what little I could. That's the thing that I'm so grateful for.
Well, that's good.
I can't have the reward that some of the more able men has had, but I can enjoy that I have earned as much as they can enjoy what they've earned. There's going to be no difference in that what we've inherited, but that we have earned by our own personal work. And that's what I'm afraid a lot of our Christian friends have going to lose. Personal reward. It's just like my daddy left me a little estate here. I got that in full. And then what that I've been able to add to it since he gave me that's my personal earning that I've enjoyed in.
Yes.
As well as the gift.
Yeah. Well, that's really great. I appreciate you taking your time off. I know you outside working a little when I came, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Sister, I'm not flattering you. I'm sincere. And I believe you're just as much sincere. This is what I enjoy. I love to sit down with my Christian friends, and my brother in the ministry, and with people and talk about what we're talking about. I can't sit down and talk about the political world. I can't talk much about the business world. I ain't never done much in it. But